Hello, everyone. Welcome to the When at Work podcast. You're with your host, Julian Lee, and today I'm joined by the fantastic Nicole Coustier. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Hi, Julian. It's good to talk to you.
Now, I practiced your surname, and I'm pretty sure I just completely butchered it. Is that correct?
It is. You did great.
Okay. I did great. Okay. But that's not what butchered means in Australia. I was talking to Nicole about control freaks and type A personality people who are searching for an answer. They think there is one way of doing things. They're confident, sometimes a little bit aggressive, and they're real go-getters. And they can have a bit of a hard time if they don't know the answer. And Nicole actually helps people like that in startups. You want to tell us a little bit about who you help and what you help them with?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of my clients like control and they like to find the right answer to any questions that they're dealing with. And it can really bug them if they have to compromise their standards. They really believe there might be one right way to do something, and anything short of that, they can make them really uncomfortable. And so I coach these folks, and a lot of times they are decision makers, they're founders of companies, they're in very demanding roles, and I help these folks realize that there can be lots of different ways to do something exceptionally well, and that they can alleviate some of the pressure that they put on themselves to find the one right answer, and instead employ creativity to find lots and lots of right answers to accomplish whatever they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I can imagine it being difficult when you are one of these kind of high-powered people with maybe a massive company, or a lot of workers that you are in charge of, and really the buck stops with you, and you need to find the solution. And it can be a little bit scary to say, "Look, I need some help with this." And do you find that they have a little bit of a hard time accepting that and changing the gears up a little bit to get creative?
It can be very, very challenging because when it comes down to it, it is their name on the initiative, their name on the decision, their name on the budget. So, what is happening is they feel a very high degree of accountability and responsibility. And that is a very, very noble thing. And what a lot of people struggle with is, in their mind, in order to relinquish some of that control or be creative and do different things, sometimes in their mind, it's mixed up with being less responsible or relinquishing accountability. And that to them is not something that they're willing to do. And so in our work together, we really separate those things, that you can still retain that high degree of integrity and accountability and accept some creativity and find other solutions to things. And so it's kind of a mindset issue where we have to kind of unpack what is holding them back from all the relieving all the pressure that they put on themselves.
Do you see a gender divide with this, and people that most often are suitable to work with you?
Not really. My practice is about 50-50 men and women. And what I notice more often than not, rather than gender differences, is maybe a lot of my clients were firstborn. They were oldest children. And so they tend to have had a lot more responsibility growing up. They tend to have had a lot of parental attention, undivided parental attention. So there was a high degree of standard that was instilled in them from an early age. They were always high achievers in academics, and they do measure by certain standards, getting praise, getting acknowledgement,
Mm.
recognition, those types of things.
Yes, and they do care about what people think of them as well, which can be a difficult thing to get over because sometimes it's helpful to not care, isn't it, about what people think of you, and it
Yeah.
gives you a bit of flexibility, and maybe you can take a little bit of a side route to explore some things that might be helpful and get creative. Is that something that you find?
Absolutely. And what's been a really interesting exercise with a lot of my clients is, and it's a very difficult one, is to ask what of my standards are borrowed from parents or teachers or, that very first influential boss or mentor versus the standards that I want to have of myself and of my team. Now, there might be a high degree of overlap, and that's great. But through that exercise, it can be very enlightening to realize that the pressure that one puts on themselves is actually a borrowed pressure. And what I mean by that is it's something that was instilled by somebody else and they never really thought about, well, wait a minute. Do I really believe that? Is that something that I should be putting my energy to? Or is my energy best serving me in other areas?
Wow, cool. And what types of companies do you work with? You did mention startups. Is there a few of those, or are there some more established companies as well?
Yeah, I've worked across the board. So I cut my teeth in the startup world. And so a lot of the clients that I have currently are people in leadership or they are startup founders themselves. But a lot of the clients that I work with and the teams that I work with are part of larger organizations, but they can work really independently within that larger organization, and so their groups and their teams feel a little bit like startups. They are agile. They have their own decision making within that group. The individual that I might be coaching may be responsible for 10, 20, 50, 100 people. And they've got to figure out how to make better decisions, not just for themselves, but for their teams.
Wonderful. And I'm just having a little bit of a connection issue there. It's all good. We'll edit that bit out. Um, and how do you deal with people? So do you do like a strategy call? Do you do courses, or is it all one-on-one? How does it all work?
Yeah, most of my work these days is one-on-one, just because I think that is the best way to help individuals with their breakthroughs. And so I have a couple of different programs. One is just a 6-week program, another is an 8-week decision making program. And then some of these can go for 3 months or more. Now, with teams, I do require both group coaching and individual coaching because it is so critical for an individual to understand and appreciate some of their assumptions, cognitive biases, and other things as they
Mm.
go into interacting in a group environment. And so I believe in order to make the whole team very successful, working with the individuals as part of that team can really catapult that group into success. So I work kind of both ends, but most of my work is one on one.
Awesome. And are you doing that still via Zoom, or are you doing a lot of in-person stuff now?
Yeah, if not a lot of in-person stuff because it largely unnecessary. The one-on-ones are absolutely over Zoom. There isn't a lot of homework, so to speak. So I work with very, very busy professionals with a lot of stressors on their schedule, on their time, on their family life, and other things. And so I do like to be respectful of that. So These are hour-long sessions. They don't need to prepare anything in advance. We show up, we do really good, hard, deliberate work in order to get those breakthroughs in that 1 hour. And they don't have to necessarily do a bunch of things afterwards. I try to make that 1 hour super, super impactful.
Yeah, it would be good just to be able to download to somebody whatever you're going through that week, and look, I'm doing this, and this is stressing me out, and just running it by somebody who's kind of not going to judge you, I suppose, and not part of the the framework that you're working in. And how long do people sort of do this for? Do they do it for 6 months, a year, or do they keep going longer than that?
Yeah. So a lot of people who do some of my introductory programs, either the 6 week or the 8 week program, it's such a significant download of information and breakthrough and insight that a lot of times they need to take a break from it, right? And so what they'll do is they'll have that 2-month session, and then they'll come back in the next quarter. So they'll take a month off. And in that month, there are a couple of things that happen. One is they give themselves the opportunity to practice what they've learned. And number two, they see where there are some additional gaps. And so quarterly, they may come back for another 6 or 8 week session. For other people, especially those who are used to coaching, they've had coaches before, they understand and appreciate the significance that a coach can have on their lives and on their business. Those types of clients are continuous. And
Yeah,
so they're enrolled in a 6-month, 12-month program, and it's a recurring basis.
yeah, they just kind of schedule it in and they cost it in, and they just have ongoing coaching all the time because they get so much value out of
Absolutely.
it. And is the first port of call, is it the Decision Cascade program? Is that what most people come to you and do?
That's right. So that's the 8 week program, and that is a set program. So there's a curriculum, so to speak, where people will learn. So the first half hour of those coaching calls is me explaining some content and us talking through how that content might be applicable to their lives, whether it's business or personal. And then the second half hour is active coaching. So they will bring to me a problem, an issue, a decision, whatever they might be stuck in. And we will begin applying some of the things that we learned in the first half hour of either that call or previous calls. That's how that program works.
Awesome. So if there's anybody out there, perhaps startup founders, or any people in these kind of high pressure jobs, and you like what you see, head to Aurelian Coaching and have a chat with Nicole and see what she's up to. Thanks for coming on, Nicole. That was awesome.
Thank you so much, Julian. It was a pleasure.
No worries. Thanks for watching and listening. I'm going to wrap it up, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.